Alright, well, I'm sure you all already know this, but we are Fireteam Prime, we are a group of Halo cosplayers. This is the kind of stuff we make, and for the next few hours we're kind of going to be talking you through how we did it, and answering your questions on what kind of stuff like the process takes. Does anyone actually have anything to say, like to start off? Wonderful.
I'm going to say Chris, because I think Chris has had enough to say for now, and he didn't expect to say anything today, so I'll take over for him. Oh, there's a guy called, he's in green armor right there. I think you should all raise your hands and say, come out, Jonathan, come on, you know.
Just say here, heckle.
Well, he's going to heckle, so. Oh, he's just making excuses now. I guess it's just me now. Look at this guy. Look, let's move on a second. This guy is making me come over and give him the microphone because he's Jonathan.
Well, you give it me, I haven't got anything to say, I'm just... Yeah, that's most definitely true. And my voice sounds really weird through the speakers as well. I don't know if I could really hold it close and sound really sexy. Right, I think we should start, because we've got both prop weapons and armour, we should go through foam armour first. So, everyone that's got foam armour, I think the majority of us actually, EVA foam mats, very simple, very easy to use, and as you can see, reasonably durable. We've only had to repair about half of them in the last, the last 15 minutes.
This is true, there's actually a couple of glue guns up on the shelf. We were going to just kind of show you the tools we might have been using with it.
Yeah, instead of making anything new, we've just been repairing all the old stuff today. So that's made it a bit more fun. Right, does anyone want to come like front and centre and give us a twirl in their foam armour? Go on! Woo! Okay.
My butt plate is actually on the table, partly because I was expecting to sit down and also because I wanted to show something, but there's a sign over it now. And like a lot of the... Oh, you said do a 12. So like a lot of the foam armour we're wearing, it's held on mainly through Velcro, because that actually holds surprisingly well. I can't reach around the back of myself, I'm sorry. So you'll just have to imagine, but you can see like when I jump, there's a little bit of give, but it's not going anywhere. Since I can't actually reach around the front of it, sorry, you can kind of take it off. Yeah, I know, I was so worried that it was just going to come off and that was going to be it. But you can take it off, put it back on, and now it's nice and secure. And the badge is poking out. So, does anyone have anything else to add? Dan, you've done like half of this stuff. Surely you've got leagues to say.
I don't really know where to start. Chris has covered a lot of it. Chris made a suit around my house, and I think it was a last minute rush to get his suit done, and yeah, he didn't rush, just ignore him, he's just fixing his suit, which is not broken.
My elbows come off.
Just, no, everyone just watch Chris.
We'll give you a live demonstration of on-the-fly repairs, because all the EVA foam, everyone's just used hot glue, right? Is there anyone here that's not? What did you use?
I think most of us use hot glue, basically, just it bonds the foam together, and I think, you know, stuff like glue, what was it, super glue, can work, but you can't really sand it like you can with filler and stuff. So I think all of these are foam. Jonathan's, am I allowed to touch? Or is it going to die if I touch it? Oh, can I drop it yeah, am I allowed to drop it? Is that my pushing it? Alright. I'll drop mine because we played football with this, you know, so, you know. So that's just a durability test. Basically, the foam can take...
I really wanted to break them. Really wanted to smash.
We've tried to smash it, but... Go on. Okay, there you go. So yeah, basically hot glue it together, and it's actually really durable. Basically, if you layer it up on top of each other rather than what Flynn has done. If Flynn, do you want to show the inside of your helmet or something? You can't really sit up, so.
I've had to take off a few pieces of my own because I physically can't sit down without breaking pieces off. But I'm pretty much the only member of the team who's gone the fiberglass route in my costume. Cheers.
It's really necessary. It's like
Fiberglass. It's probably got a steeper learning curve than foam, but it takes a lot longer to make, and the benefit of it over foam is that it's slightly more durable and harder wearing, so you don't have to do as much repainting each time. But for me, the biggest disadvantage is that whenever it breaks, you've got to pretty much repair it with something like epoxy or more fiberglass resin, because yeah, I've had to repair this multiple times with, I've tried with hot glue, but it just keeps detaching, so it's got layers upon layers of webbing and string holding it together at the moment. Yeah, my helmet's probably got the biggest range of different materials inside it. Cheers. Yeah, I've tried to implement some electronics inside my helmet to keep me cool, because obviously doing a convention like this, multiple hours in a day, pretty much going to overheat within the first 10 minutes of stepping into the building. So I've got a couple of 9-volt batteries and a couple of 40mm computer fans inside there. The visor is a 3mm acrylic sheet that I've heated with a heat gun rather, and just bent it into shape, and then put some gold window foil behind it. That's actually what I think quite a few of us have done for the visor, just to get a reflective surface behind it. Cheers. This hammer's mine. I've kind of done a similar process to the fiberglass. I've started off with a card template behind it, so that I have something to fiberglass onto. But with this, because it's an enclosed space, you can't really fiberglass all the nooks and crannies inside it, so I've just filled it with expanding foam to give it a bit of rigidity and prevent it from denting. But the main skeleton inside it is actually an old microlight crossbar, so I've used quite a bit of old aeroplane parts in my props and costumes. And that pretty much covers it for me, I think. Does anyone else want to?
Yeah, kind of expanding on what Flynn said about using things other than foam as a base and working up. I know, because you've also got that sniper rifle that's entirely wood and metal, and it probably weighs about 3 times what I do. That's not a very impressive trait, I'm scrawny as hell. I do something kind of similar, but not really. In the 2 guns that are mine, the camo one and this, have used like existing airsoft guns or toy guns as a base. And can someone just hold up the 2 magnums? Because you can immediately see the difference in that this one's a lot more accurate to scale and a lot more accurate to size and looks a lot more detailed, but this took only a couple of hours to make. Because once you've got most of the work already done for you, you can just add a couple of bits of foam to give it the shape, and you're pretty much done. So if you've got a budget, or if you've not got a lot of time, taking existing things and modifying them is always a lot quicker and a lot more effective. And it's the exact same story for that, because that monstrosity is literally just an old airsoft gun that I took a hacksaw to repeatedly. Yeah, picking up, it's fine. The part of it's coming off a little, but what? Oh yeah, go for it. But the only part of it that's foam is the stock, because that's just like layer it up a few times and you're done. As opposed to something like Jonathan's shotgun, which is foam all the way through, and I assume that makes it a lot more resilient, because that can crack and this can't. Do you want me to try it again? Alright, well, you get the idea anyway. Is there anyone else that wants to say something?
That's me definitely armor, I think.
Oh, that's true.
Give me that.
Take the stage.
Not really double coated, but my armour I just use pepper purifiers are found on the 45th Halo website. Had to pick up them out. Unfortunately, on the website, the pepper cure ones they give you, always there's something different on the other side. So one side will be done one way, one side will be done the other way, which is how I sell a chest piece, which is why one piece has that light, the other piece is a lot neater. So you learn as you go. A lot of them I've just done half of it and then copied it over, but it works a lot better. Other than that, it was just I used a heated knife to do all the curves in it. So on the underside, that isn't a really good example, that's just taught on what I've done. Sort of where the sort of bend like that, it's just heating knife, cut out a slot, and then being able to bend a lot easier for that place. Can someone please take my comment?
Okay, so what Charlotte mentioned and what Lynn mentioned earlier is something that we actually probably should have spoken about a bit earlier on, but that's Pepicura, and Pepicura is because you're too slim or too short, it's a perfect one-to-one of the thing from the game or from the movie or from whatever it was. The alternative is what Dan uses mostly, or all, and what I use, which is scratch build, where you make the templates yourself and just kind of wing it. That takes a lot less time, but it also tends to make slightly less detailed results because obviously it's not a perfect one-to-one, so a lot of the detail you have to do by eye. It still produces some fantastic results. I mean, you know, Dan's arm is scratch videos. Scratch. Oh, okay. So this is a PEP helmet. So this is done through. Sorry, I'm doing my best. This is made through Pepicura, so you can see all the kind of detail in the angles and shapes because this is completely accurate. But the other helmet that's completely freehand, and it's still incredibly detailed because you can do it by hand. But there's probably a few parts that aren't like 100%. Yeah, so benefits to both. Usually it's, with pretty much everything, it comes down to speed and cost versus how detailed you want it to be. Beautiful. Go for it.
So I understand we've gone over quite a bit so far, but just wondering if anyone so far has any questions, just throw your hands up. Oh, is that everything alright so far? Yeah, we're a few people we have. Okay then, I'm just being suggested by my friend, Michael, about the lighting that you can put in your suit. Now, unfortunately, some of us are for uni students, so we don't actually have... Hello. Yeah, some of us actually don't have the kind of money that some other people have, so we have to go around with using what we have. I'm going to take off some of my suit quickly because you can probably see in here it's got a lightning bolt that's lit up, and people are probably wondering how it's lit up. Charlotte, just bear with me like 10 seconds, just hold the mic. Who says hi? So I don't know if you can actually see inside, but basically what I did with my phone is I cut some pockets inside of it. I'll come on actually. Basically using finger LEDs. So I put, yeah, it was pretty snazzy. Luckily people can't actually see what's on the inside.
Tim, you like to stand right there? Thank you, sir. It's gonna pick me up. Stole his GoPro. Stole his mine. Yeah.
Very clumsy. It's been a long day. I've been used to grabbing stuff in gloves. That's really all there is to making it, unless anyone has specific questions. Ooh. That's actually something I didn't think of because I've never used, but the duct tape mannequin, which you can see over there, does not just work for fabric. If you've got a perfect like mesh of your body, you can make all the armour you want fit, and even though it won't be as supple as fabric, if it still fits the mannequin, it's going to fit you. So if you are more used to cloth-based things and you've got something like that lying around, definitely make use of it because it will work. It's a nice way of displaying it actually. If you've got a lot of suits, I know you've got a ton of mannequin heads for all your helmets.
Yeah, I got a I've sent you a link, it's perfect. 80 quid? Yeah, you get one for 8 quid.
But no, if you're like me and like kind of displaying stuff you've made when you've not got it, that is a good way of going about it. I quite like coat hooks, weapon racks, and putting all those kind of things up. I need to get some more of that actually. Because I need to put the side up somewhere. Wherever it's really. But yeah, unless anyone's got questions, that really is all there is to building.
I need to get an SD card in there, so
I gotta be honest, it generally depends on the con, because some are a lot more lenient with things like wooden props than others. My best recommendation would be that unless it's something really small where you can't hurt someone by hitting it even if it's fully wood, give it probably 1 layer of foam at least. I mean, a lot of things you will be able to get by just having some kind of rod or skeleton, but if you want to build it a bit thicker, the closer the wood is to the surface, the less chance there is that they're going to let you in, so I would recommend trying to build it up. At least somewhat proportionally. It really is hard to say without a specific example, but if you wanted to do like a giant cloud buster sword, you would probably want a good inch around the edge of it this way to be foam, and then depth-wise a good centimetre or two, just so that if you were to touch it, you would be able to squish it down rather than it solid, because I think that's really where a lot of it's going to come in. If you can squish it down and it does give, then it's probably pretty soft. If you squish it down and you can feel what's underneath, they might be hesitant to let you in if it's something quite big. Was there anything else before we move on to things like painting and priming and that kind of stuff? No? Did anyone on the team have anything to add to the building process and all that kind of stuff? Of course they didn't. I've been given this job because apparently I'm the only one that can speak to people. Who did that?
I did not get that on tape.
I did. But it wasn't all the way up.
This is a wonderful example of a durability test. You'll notice that the plastic props made a loud clang and the foam props are probably unscathed. Which is quite a good advantage of making foam props rather than plastic ones. You can absolutely wing them at the floor and it doesn't do anything. And I'm now eyeing up Danny's helmet because yesterday during the talk when we got to this point talking about durability tests, no, it was a slam dunk actually, please. I can do it again. Does anyone want to see me slam dunk a helmet just to show how much these things can survive? Like, this is old and a bit worn down.
Nah, I wasn't good enough, do it again.
And it's unscathed. Of course, if your head was in it, it might not go so well. But the point is, like, these things can go around in a car, on a tray, and wherever you want to carry them. And even if you drop them, even if you scrape them, it's going to be fine. You will lose a bit of paint here and there, but that's always going to happen. You can keep topping up paint. You can make it look like battle damage. You can do whatever you want with that kind of thing. Just worth a brief note, unfortunately, the member of the team that usually handles this topic isn't here, so we can't go into too much detail, but Pepicura isn't used with foam as much as it usually is fiberglass, because once you've got like a cardstock base, you can just go over with fiberglass and then you've got a perfect one-to-one thing. We, without our expert, don't really know too much about that, other than that it's a lot more solid, it's a lot more rigid. It can take a bit more before it breaks, but it doesn't rip like foam and it doesn't come loose like foam, it just breaks and then it's broken. So it's one of those kind of trade-offs. Again, I'm sorry, I can't really speak too much on that, aside from once it's broken, you kind of have to either do it again or really put a lot into it. And the glass, I believe, takes a very, very long time compared to foam. Like,
layers and layers and hours. And lots of safety equipment as well, because the stuff is pretty much lethal in its high doses.
Yeah, so that's probably not good for a starter build. Foam is definitely much better for people just starting out because it's very easy to work with and you can get as much detail as you want as long as you keep layering up and keep adding to it. So, transitioning very smoothly to talking about priming, because what priming will do is it'll make the foam a bit harder and a bit more solid, and it also stops the paint like soaking in and chipping, which is the main reason that all of these are waterproof, right? Because they've all been primed the same way. So yeah, like we mentioned earlier with the glue, foam is porous, so the glue soaks it in, and that makes it possible for it to bond together and stick. But that also means that if you were to try to paint it, the paint would soak straight in, and it would be quite difficult. It would make the foam a bit more brittle, a bit more prone to chipping and cracking, and it will wear a lot easier. So the best way to avoid that is to get a good old dose of PVA glue.
Be a bit like Digicom in a way.
Oh, stop, never mind.
Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Smell.
Tell me when.
3, 2, 1, go! Oh, I missed it. You were playing there. Try one more time, mate. I actually went up too close to you.
And you dropped the piece.
Where did that fall from?
What?
It's waste. No, it's not that.
It's moving
Oh,
back.
it's fine.
Alright, that was weird.
3, 2, 1, go!
I actually know that section. I've worked building here long enough to know what that means now. The one that surprised me the most is that I tripped. Actually, that's a funny story. It's a bit, I mean, not, oh yeah, I guess we got to keep it PG. I don't know, I think before we end up leaving this lovely little soiree of cosplayers, annoying people in rafters, red-haired cats who go up to the makeup booth and say, paint me like one of your French kitties, and